recording now. Okay, how you guys doing today? I'm back, Kasim Lamar, Dream Big Podcast. You know what it is. I'm here with a friend of mine. We worked together a couple times when it came to basketball and, working with him, my refereeing and all that.
Yeah.
That's how we met a couple of years ago.
Yes, yeah.
Mr. Miles Daniels, is it?
Yes, Daniels.
Miles
Yes, close
Daniels.
to Davis, but Daniels, yes.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, I want to take this time out for you to introduce yourself to my audience. Just let them know a little bit about you. And
So Miles Daniels, I'm from New London, Connecticut, 34 years old, graduated Springfield College 2009. Right now, I'm currently the president of Community Level Up, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to spreading financial literacy and building better communities is kind of what we really focus on. I used to be a math teacher, so I taught math in high schools and middle schools. I left that because I felt I was teaching kids things that weren't going to help them be successful in life. And when you teach in the system, you're kind of held to a strict curriculum to where you literally have to teach exactly what the curriculum says. I feel it didn't pertain much to the community that I want to represent. So I decided to branch away, started this nonprofit. We are located on 322 State Street in New London. We'll officially be opening next month. And I'm guessing, we can go from there. I'm guessing some of the questions might have to do with some of the stuff going on. So we'll just kind of community level up. Yeah.
Exactly. With the level up thing, when did it start?
So it officially started in December of 2017 was our incorporation date. This year, I would say is when it became real because we physically purchased a location. Right now we're working with Allied Health CT. So I'll be in Norwich Tech and Wyndham Tech doing some programming. And we're working with a couple organizations, talking with a couple organizations on Wall Street. That we're trying to get some of our youth there. So I think this year, October of 2020 is when we signed the lease. So we got our location for 3 years. So I would say this year is when it became real and we really started pushing content, but we incorporated 2017.
Oh, okay, great. So when I was hearing you talk about with the school and the curriculum, how you have to follow, and I agree. And this is why I'm going back and forth now that I have a soon-to-be 2-year-old son. Yes. And when I'm thinking to myself of, do I really let him go to a public school? Or do I have to work as hard as I possibly can to maybe go to private school or a charter school? I'm hearing so much. My cousin, he's actually a co-owner of, I guess he invested in the charter school in Jersey.
Cool, okay.
He'd been saying great things about it years ago, even when my older 2 kids was going to school. And he told me that it's the best bet. But what do you think about those 3 forms of education? Public schools, charter schools, and private schools?
Private.
Yeah.
I feel like, unfortunately, public schools have the least amount of resources there. With the private, the teachers have all the resources they need. You're gonna have to pay for it, but any service your child may need is kind of there. And one thing you see with private is when there's a fee to a place, usually I feel parents are involved, so you get kind of the total thing there. And public, it's hard, man, because I went to public school. I also taught in private. Public is kind of where as a minority where we want to be, because that's where everybody that looks like us at. But the system, as a parent, I would say as a parent in public school, you have to be on it. You have to be checking on what your kids is doing. You have to make sure that the teacher is up to date with it. You got to check things like the rubric and the schedule at the beginning. If you're a parent and you're very active like that, then you can make public work. But we don't, and I'm not trying to shade anybody, but in urban communities, we don't, I don't want to throw shade. I don't want anybody to take this out and put it bad, but we don't have a lot of, and I'm not saying any race or anything, but in certain areas, like New London being one of them, we don't have a lot of people that are fully involved, I feel. So it makes it harder for the public schools. So I would say to be real with y'all, my kids in the Magnet Art School, I like what they're doing. But as of right now, middle schools, I'm not sure what route I'm going to take with my kid. I'm not sure am I going to go, like I used to teach private, I can go back and teach private and get my kids there for free, or am I going to send them to the public here, which I'm not sure about. So yeah, that's one where I feel charter is the new wave coming up. I feel private, you get everything that you pay for, but not everybody has that opportunity. And I feel public, like we got a lot of work to do as the community in order to get the public school where it needs to be.
Yeah, and then with the public schools, it's starting to get like, this is my opinion for what I did, worked in the public school situations as well. It's starting to get more political and one-sided political. Mm-hmm. And it's a scary thing because I remember in college, being the biggest liberal you possibly can was the way to be. You know what I'm saying? But you was 19, 20 years old, 21 years old.
Yeah.
You considered grown. My whole situation is like, my question is, I should say, do you see the indoctrinating of a different like mindset of what they want the kids to be, especially with blacks and Hispanic kids?
I feel
they want them to be. Yeah,
I feel that like when I like a lot. Like, I see where you're going. I feel a lot like in the public schools, they don't put a lot of responsibility on the minority kids. I see a lot of younger kids that they'll get in trouble. They won't be held accountable for the things they got going on. And then like say in middle school, they'll provide like aids, they'll provide services. If a kid's struggling in the class, rather than working with that kid to actually get that right, they'll take that kid out of that environment. So it's just not, so that kid's not in that environment, and they provide like an aid. But then I see like these at 13, 12, I see these young black kids, minority kids, getting that aid, and they're looking and saying, oh, it's this young black kid that's unfortunate, so I'm gonna help him out. But then when that kid's 16, 17, and is a grown man, 6'4", 6'5", and still trying to do that same stuff, they don't have that aid in high school. So they're looking at them as an angry, you can know what part I'm calling there, they call any other words out there, but it's like, I just don't see how the flip is, how when they're younger, they're like babying them. And then as it gets older, they just throw them to the wolves. And that part, I see that all the time. And I think in middle schools, in the urban communities and public, we don't get that accountability. Like we're not.
It's a lot of
hard it.
It's a lot of
hard to say, but a lot of our kids aren't held accountable. A lot of people aren't held accountable, and like the people that aren't held accountable for their stuff at a young age, they get older and wild out, think they can do whatever they want, and then it speaks for itself. There's some stuff going on. I see it
like me and you worked at the same school. I'm not going to say the school name.
Yep.
But I seen a lot of enabling in that school. I actually worked in middle schools in Hartford area, and I think it was a lot lighter, believe it or not, than that school we specifically was at.
Okay, got you.
Because I feel as though it was more of our people helping these kids.
Yes.
And letting these kids understand, hey, you do that shit when you're 17.
Yes.
18, you're out of here.
Yeah.
You can't, you 12, 13 now, that's not cute now. And just like you said, you're 6 foot now. They think you look 25, 30.
Yeah. Now, you're completely different. It is
exactly. In a lot of these, what you call that, so-called administration to teachers and stuff like that, and principals, they like you will ask for a kid's file. This is me personally, because I want to know what's going on with this kid. Why is he or she so angry? They were like, oh, that's us to know. That's for us to know. This is your call, whatever. But you want me to keep an eye on this kid. You want me to do all this other risky stuff that I don't know what this kid is really about, what type of upbringing he or she came from. It's going to be all right. All we have to do is, put him in the corner.
Yeah.
Get detention, what have you, and he's going to be all right. Don't worry.
Put a Band-Aid on it and get to the end of the day. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's to me, that's completely bad.
Yes.
So like, I think a lot of schools, especially a lot of our schools, need more Black men. This is another question, segue to another question, so we need a lot of Black teachers and guidance in the school system.
Yes.
completely, you know, and because we don't have a lot of them, and we do have a lot of them pander to these people that really don't care about our kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's my opinion. What's your opinion on, you know, needing more Black men in our school systems?
I think we need a lot more Black men in our school systems. And I think I think right now the qualification to get certain people in to work in the schools, I think like they're not wanting to open the door for certain people. But yet I think some of these people, like there should be a pathway to get people from communities or some kind of incentive to get more minorities to be in there. Because I myself was in there, and just to even, like I taught for years, I took the alternative route. I have my degree.
Right.
But like I was having to probably come out of my pocket like another 25 racks just to get my certification inside of public. That's why I left public and went private. Cause like I never understood what I understood. Well, like one thing about it is like, if we're gonna make change, we gotta allow these minority teachers to come in, and we gotta accept the culture, and we gotta allow them to kind of do some work. But the hard thing is they have a manual and curriculum that's already written how it's done. So they only bringing in these minorities just so to put them in front of, like, they're the face of the public to what's going on. So then I think a lot of the administrators or a lot of the people that aren't the minorities kind of use a lot of the minorities they have in their school as shields to what's going on, to where, like, I'm not sure if they truly want them in there for the change, to rather they want them in there because it makes it look good for them. And that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. And I you know what I'm saying? I definitely see that. And I think that's the reason why I literally stopped doing it in this area.
Yes.
It's many areas. Isn't
yes. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to make that clear. Even I come from Newark, New Jersey, but I was good in sports. Mm. So I went to this a suburb school like 25 minutes away from Jersey, Summit, New Jersey high school. It's like Islam, probably way more Richie.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And I had the best of both worlds. But the thing is, these teachers see me as a, you know, sports kid. Don't need to really, you know, really pass. You get away with a DSC.
Yeah.
And this and that, third. You get away with this and that. A lot of guys that's from the area, a lot of Black guys that was from that particular area, they barely pass. Mm-hmm. Summit High School, I can say Summit because that's my school. So whatever, I already got what I needed from them 20 years ago. So Summit High School was really just letting these Black young men that was playing sports, because some was kind of a sports school, but academics, people that was brought up in the Summit educational system, all of them was Ivy League schools, you know, Division I in academics and stuff like that, the Ivy League. So they understood it. My best friend born and raised out there. Mm-hmm. And they understood it, but it was a lot of guys coming from other different towns. And in the 8th, 9th grade, coming to that school, like, wow, look at that school. You know, this is the academics, even the classes with like just 20, 15 kids, that's even hard, you know? So my thing is, I had cousins that went to North schools that was considered low-level education schools that got a better education than me because they actually had teachers that was, you know, that wanted them to pass, that told them, was determined for them to pass more than just with a C average, you know, building their confidence up academically. So I got a lot of cousins that you would think that and then a lot of Black parents, they go to these white schools, they got you. So they don't always got you, especially if you're a slow learner. Yes. You have to be prevalent in that. So I want to ask you a question of, do you think if it when we talk about with the financial literacy, do you think what makes you think what's a parent to do in the school? Let's go this route. What's a parent to do when it comes to making sure their child not just graduating, even when a parent is very busy. Mm. What's a parent to do to not just having a child just he or she is just passing?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now with it being, this is two different things. Be it now, for one thing, I think all parents, and if they can't do this, they should have a trusted organization that can. And what I will say is like a lot of stuff that I'm saying, I have free videos on. So I'm not putting, I don't want people to see this and think like he's saying this, but he's not doing it. I have them. A lot of people don't check it out, but like there's Common Core standards is one thing for every single grade that's out there for math and reading. For math and English, which is most important in reading, but then they also have it for science and other things that goes up. Your kids should be getting taught at bare minimum the Common Core standards. Your teachers of your kids should be providing that to you, so you should see what they're going through, because your kids are going to be tested on a lot of these things. So if your kids aren't, it's basically going over the Common Core standards. Say, like I was a math person, I go over my kids' Common Core to make sure they understand it. I know a lot of other parents don't fully understand about that though, but this is something that you can ask, like you should ask your teachers. And if you're busy, there's organizations inside of the community that usually would love to help you out with this, that like those questions aren't being answered. So I would say understanding the Common Core. And then one thing I would say is like right now it's a little different because COVID changed the world. Like I look at this right now as kind of like a lot of these degrees that these kids may be getting are going to be degrees for corporations that are no longer going to be functioning in the society with where we're going. Yeah. So what I would say with these kids and with these parents now is put responsibility on your kids. Have your kids come up with ideas and think about ways that they can monetize it and have them tell you. The more you allow your kid and child to speak to you about what's going on, the more you can get an understanding. So I would just say, if you're real busy, put more on your kid for that information. And if your kid can't verbally express the things that like we're kind of going through here, then that's when you need to have a conversation with your teacher and see if that teacher is actually educating your child. And all this stuff I say, we work in schools. I love to go in schools. I do this stuff for free. We're at 501c3, so this is what I love doing. I tried to get myself into schools inside my community. I did not get anything as of yet. I will be in Norwich Tech and Wyndham Tech, though, starting in March, though. So I'm starting there, and I'm trying to get myself in as many communities as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great thing. Literally, before we go any further, I want you to tell them exactly what they could find you when it comes to, what was it, 501?
501, yeah. So we're in the middle. We're going through our 501c3. We're pending. We should have that soon. We're just a nonprofit now. I write curriculum, so I do a lot behind the scenes. So right now we have a program called Plan that we're pushing heavily, which is we believe that every youth should have a portfolio of a business. First, a business idea, one thing, meaning at a young age, you should be thinking about your ideas and things you want to do, and then you should have somebody that can guide you in ways to teach you how to monetize that. Right. We feel that every kid should have a resume, but not a resume in the traditional sense as you and I would have a resume stating things done in the past to get a job. I think you should have a resume where they should verbally be able to express who they are. And if I had a youth with me and I gave you their resume, you should be able to see on that who that kid is, and that kid should represent that every day. So a resume, I think, in other words, can help hold these kids accountable. In schools, they give these kids contracts. But when I hear the word contract, I think of like the league or money involved, but these kids ain't getting money. So I don't think that it is a contract because it's a one-way thing. I look at it more as a resume because they should be able to state who they are and sign off on that, and we should hold them accountable to that. So we believe in that. And then we believe the stock portfolio. Kids should understand the market, not necessarily saying they need to trade or invest, but like I know me, when I was younger, I thought if I made $20 an hour, I would be set and golden. I thought when my friends' parents made that money, it was good. I learned about the market, and I mean, we teach paper trading, so we don't teach anybody to put their money out there. Paper trading is free. It's virtual simulation. It's like playing a video game pretty much, but you at least get to have an understanding that like, a small micro company is $2 billion. Like I would have never even thought about that, but just having those numbers at a young age will make me think way bigger than it was. So that's why we believe just being introduced to the stock market is huge. And then, and we also I write curriculum. So I used to be a teacher. I partner with organizations to write curriculum that are hopefully going to get accredited in schools. So I'm trying to get a couple of my programs government funded. So that's just what I'm doing daily. Curriculum writer, I would say.
Exactly. Oh, and that's absolutely great. I want to leave, when you give me your information, I'm going to put it all in the description box.
Yes,
guys,
appreciate it.
Please like and subscribe to the channel.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely, I'm going to put that in the description box for them to look at, especially our local people in New Lundy County. But at the same time, like where I see this going, especially with the resume thing, that's a great idea. That's the stuff that they used to do. Like, what do you think about they coming back with kids getting trades? Like before even our era, a lot of people was getting trades, and that was the difference to what how the function in the workplace, how you made a career in trades. As you said, a lot of things are dying down when it comes to the COVID.
Yes.
And all these businesses is taking their stuff to overseas again.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So what I look at this situation is, what are we going to do in a situation is like, do we bring back trades? Do we bring back, letting our, this is why I think sports should be second or third. A lot of these parents, especially our local parents in this area, they make sports number one on the list. Yeah. If you're not talking about sports, they really don't want to hear you. You know what I'm saying? Just like I see your videos and you're putting financial literacy in the air. You're putting academics in the air. You're letting them know what you can do to help and stuff. People are not paying attention to it like they should. Especially when, I don't want to sound like, playing a violin. Yeah. But especially when brothers put this forth, put this number one, academics, how to actually take care of your family without going to jail, things that can have you in being a provider and a protector, and having your family in a safe environment. Why do you think these parents aren't listening to people like us?
That's a great question, man. Why do I think the parents aren't listening? That's one thing I would say is, like, a lot of times, like, I feel parents want to live through their kids. So, I would have made it this far, but then this happened to me, so now my kid got to do all this. But, like, when it comes to the sports, like, 1% of the people in this world are getting there. So, like, if we're pushing something that is 1%, like, anybody that's hearing this, if you coach, if 1%, and if that's the number one thing you push, if you got a 10-person team, that means 90% of the people on your team are going to be unsuccessful. There's one that may be. So I think that can't be the main focus. That's a complicated question that like literally I stepped away from sports. To be real with you on that one, the best way I could put it is an example myself. I used to think education was huge. So what would happen is I would incorporate education into my sports program, and then I would try to get other people to do that, but then I would be looked at as competition to somebody else doing something similar, like with an AAU program. I'd have my program that I believe my kids should be doing math every week and doing this, and then somebody else would look at that like, oh, like you're putting yourself above everybody else because you're teaching them that. And I'm like, no, like I'm not doing this because I want to make my program better. We all need to do this. So I don't coach anymore. I used to do clinics, camps. I turned them all down. I turned everything down. I turned down a good amount of money this year from multiple towns because I'm 100% standing behind this education thing. And I'm trying to build something now that can go to all these programs. And I'm trying to get in line with these coaches to let them know, like, I don't want to be in competition with you. I don't want to be in competition like anybody that looks like you or I or comes from these urban areas. These parents, we don't need to be fighting with each other. Like, if we can't see what happened in this world over the past couple of years, it's a much bigger fight. And if we're not preparing our youth for that, it's not the sports fight. That's not if the ones that do make it there, they're taken care of. That's not the issue. But we got to look at all the other ones the 99% that aren't going to get there. We need to be preparing them for that. And that's the best answer I can give. I don't know the answer, but I can try my best to just do my part and hope that in time, like brothers like you, we can just link and build, man. And absolutely. And we're trying.
this is why, I listen, I'm doing research on, as I was telling you, time and soil.
Yes.
And when it comes to economics and stuff like that, of what we overlook, I see a lot of us actually not overlooking it. It's starting to come slowly. People are starting to make that mainstream economics, especially in the Black community. We're starting to make it mainstream, but it's real slow. And his point is that, when you teach a young man about, as you were saying, that, it's going to be that 1%, and you teaching that young man, like, if you make it, you're playing basketball, you're doing this, you're playing sports, and you said that's how he's going to make his money. And when by the time he's 16, 17, he see that he really ain't that good. And then now it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do now? I ain't take academics serious at all.
Yeah.
And then he starts to be bitter towards the mother, the father, the teachers, the cousins, the people that told me that I could be the next Kobe, knowing damn well I wasn't that good from from the first off, and I see a lot of men our age and older are trying to teach these young men that, but it's not enough of us actually.
Yes.
Like, what do I look like telling a young man that I barely passed out of really good high school, academic high school? I barely passed. I passed, but I barely passed. And they just let it go. They just said, you're good at sports, so do your thing. If I wasn't that type of guy, if I ain't had this teacher, and she was actually a Black teacher, she came to my school, the only Black teacher in my whole high school. She came to my high school, and my junior year, I started to get a really high GPA average. She took me from almost last in the class to middle. Okay. And a lot of these teachers was very surprised by what was going on with me. You know what I'm saying? And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't even graduated. I started to just develop better. But what you think, how important do you think financial literacy is when it comes to developing it from your parents or good mentors? How important that is to you?
I think it's very important at a young age to get an understanding of the dollar, like just understanding like a basic thing that like depreciation of things. Like if we can spend $400 on a belt that the minute we walk out the store, if you try to sell that belt back, you're gonna get $150 for it. If you're lucky, maybe $125. So like if they're but a lot of these kids are thinking that like they're seeing their mentors with all this stuff and they're thinking like they don't understand true value of things and they're putting that all into it. So I think it's very important. I think we need more mentors and more teachers that can teach them about it. I don't think everybody has to the problem with I get a lot of time, everybody thinks that with what I do in financial literacy is like the stock market. They think that's the only thing. So a lot of times people are like, well, not everybody does the stock market. And it's like, I'm not saying everybody has to trade, but it's like, if you're like you talked about before, the trades, I'm big on, if you got a job like that, you don't provide a skill to that job. So say like, if you're not providing a skill to the job, it could be a plumber, it could be whatever, a skill that can get you paid in a multiple other different places. You're just another number to them people, and they can get rid of you, as a lot of people are seeing right now, at any single time. Absolutely. So I feel like just meshing all in, we just need to understand like what money really is, what getting stable really is, and kind of understand that like the goal is not like a lot of these kids think they get a Gucci belt, they get a car with a system and rims. I used to think the same thing too, so I'm not putting myself above. But you get some nice sneakers and all that, and then you're set. But yeah, you don't have ownership or anything. Like you're getting crushed with rent, and it's like it's just these other things that we don't do a good job. So like I don't have a direct answer for it, but like I mean, one answer I will say is that things like this you do, man. This podcast, this Dream Big thing, I saw the other people on it. This is a start of talking to people, and then now it's getting like-minded people and just more everybody like we need to approach this not from a place of taking offense to anything. So if somebody says, like, you need to do maybe better at something, a lot of times in urban communities, you say something about somebody's a parent, they'll lose their mind. It don't matter if their kid's doing the worst thing in the world, they'll try to crush you. And then it's like, you should take a step back and then see if somebody attacks you. Like if I say, you're a terrible father and you do nothing good in all this, then yes, that's an attack at you. You should be bothered. But if it's more of 1% of our kids are making money off of these sports, maybe we should be putting that 2 or 3 and maybe putting something with a 99% like business and stuff. One, that's not an attack on anybody. That's not saying your kid's not good. That's just saying like we all kind of need to like do better at it.
and actually, let's again, I keep on bringing up this guy Thomas Sawyer because and I want to let people know I didn't even graduate out of college. I did 2 years. And that's it, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going back. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually going back. I'm back now.
Oh, congrats,
and
man.
Thank you. But, you know, I'm doing situations where I'm actually circling back a little bit because I have a family. So I got to get the 2 to 3 jobs to make sure everything is good. And that's how I was going to be.
Yep.
All right. So here I am. I'm trying to figure this out with, what we need to understand is that 50, 70 years ago, Black people was in a better situation. Mm-hmm. There was all the scholars. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I got probably the most common sense maybe, but I'm not the smartest person in the room. So I'm looking up these scholars. I'm not looking up these people that keep on bringing up all this silly rhetoric to make me feel like a victim, because that's what they do. Mm. You're not going to make my son or myself feel like a victim. You understand me? Or any other child that I call myself mentoring.
Yes. Yeah.
So Black folks, Tom Sawyer and Walter Matthews, I think his name is, I got to get his last name. Mm. They say that Black folks, before sports and all this other stuff, we was better because all of us worked together. All of us made sure that there was a mother and a father in the home. Just in the 30s, it was only probably 15% that was born out of wedlock, 10 to 15% born out of wedlock. Now it's 75%. Now it's 80 to 85%.
Yeah, it's like the norm, yeah.
Yeah. And that's other financial, the literacy is right then and there tells you that that's going to pass. Financial literacy, we're going to be number one, meaning we're going to be the number one people that got financial problems right then and there.
At the bottom, struggling, yeah.
Yeah, we at the bottom. We're number one at the bottom, if that makes some type of sense.
Yes, yeah.
So when I hear documentations of different things in the mainstream media and how, when we talk about, like you said, when we talk about the parents and why they do such things, when you just telling them, maybe we need to do something different, and they get all, mad, and, only weak cultures do that. And these scholars is saying Black folks was the least weak, even coming out of slavery, literally out of slavery, owning banks, owning railroad systems, owning it wasn't just the Oklahoma City thing. We own many different fashions in this country, many different things.
Yes.
Central Park, that place used to be Black folks, and that's it. Used to be nothing but Black folks, and all their businesses are developing. And this is straight out of slavery. Why do you think we are now last when we wasn't last 20, 30 years after slavery?
Yeah.
Why do you think we are last now? And let's talk about in the last 20 years of what makes you think that we are last now for that?
I think we just there's not a lot of we don't pass a lot down. Like I see in the urban community, even me growing up, there's always the thing is, oh, your kid, like, you got to get a job making money because I pay for something in this house. And then so like from a kid's, if you're forcing your kid to work a job, like if you don't like your job, and like if you got a job where you like you're not using your skills, so you never had time to foster a skill, so they're not paying you for your skill, they're paying you because they need you to do that job, and you don't like it, and you know, like there's literally, say you're making $15 an hour, the best case scenario the next 20 years is you making $16 an hour, maybe 17, and you're pushed and you're mad at yourself at that. And I mean, we all make mistakes. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but if you're pushing your kid down in urban communities, our kids get 17 and they crush them to get a job, and then it's 18. Oh, you lazy if you in the house and you living off of this and not going out and working. But I've been in other communities where there's lots of rich people, and when their kids are younger, they're fostering ideas. They're not putting them out to be starting off in a bad situation. I think kind of as adults, before we put our kids at the house, they should be set off better than us, or we should have a plan in place to keep them with us to kind of make sure that like that we're helping them. That's one thing I would say, is that stop making our kids work these jobs for people that dislike them anyway, and then they get stuck in that thing regardless of how mad we are. So that's one spot where I think that we can start at to change that. Yep. And then also like just look at what we value. I mean, like even you look on TV, the urban culture, what's valued is not even the things that's real life. What you see on social media and people, the cars, the jewelry, all this stuff, it's just wasting money. And it's not even like, you see the brokest dude in the hood are from an urban area with the richest sneakers and the $500 Gucci belt and the $700 jeans, and think that he made it. And then you see the millionaire dude driving like a Honda Civic, and he got on these old sneakers, this old white guy, and all of his kids got $5 million in property and all this business stuff. So I think we just need to like stop glorifying kind of the wrong things and start really like just, changing that. I don't know. That's easier said than done. So I don't want anybody to think like it's not a snap your fingers. That's like, but I mean, we need to find a way to stop that though.
I agree 100. I agree 100% on that situation, on how we need to stop a lot of this, these things that it's not helping us. All it, like in the next 4 years from now, the first thing, again, I tell my listeners all the time at Cashapp Lamar Dream Big podcast, that you can't live yourself down on thinking that race is the problem with Black America. It's economics. That's the problem. It's not working with each other unless we agree with each other 1,000%. You cannot do these echo chambers anymore.
Yes. Yep.
You cannot do it. I want to work with, and I have that problem sometimes because I see some of these guys walking around here, want to, take camera shots with everybody. Look, I'm giving the turkey out, and stuff like that. And I'll be like, I don't want to be with that crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. But I should be saying to myself, let me figure out how I can work with that guy, because maybe he has an audience or he has people that can benefit me, such as I can benefit him.
I love that. Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that's, getting older, not learning this as a young boy. That's why I really I tell young men, you have to start understanding that if you're going to make a family, you got to make a family with a person that's going to respect you and respect your traditional ways, if you have any. That's why you should wait till you get a certain age. Don't do what I did. So, but that's another situation.
Gotcha. Yep.
But I want you to just let the audience know this, last question that I want to ask. What do you feel about us, as I said, just making sure these kids, because as I say, a lot of these scholars will tell you, we're not benefiting getting on this race thing. Everything's race. You know what I'm saying? Believe me, it's racism in this country.
Yeah.
Racism like big time. But when you go to court and you have no money to defend yourself, that has a lot to do with you worrying about family members. You worry about people saying that, well, it's hard for you. You know, they victimizing you and you don't even know it. I don't understand why a lot of us don't know it, but they victimizing you. What do you say to that young black 10-year-old or 15-year-old and let him know, okay, this is what you do to prepare yourself in life? What do you say to that 10-year-old?
Well, what I'm gonna say is first, like, racism is out there. I fully understand it. I would say in my old age, I don't cut my hair anymore. I just kept my look for a reason because I make people now talk to me about what I know rather than I fully understand that people are going to be racist. So I would say is we can talk about it all we want, or you can like say, cry on yourself, look bad down on, but that's never going to be the change. Like what we need to do is each one of us acquire a skill, what I would say, like hold your teacher, like as a student, hold your teacher accountable. You should be learning something. If you're not learning something as a young buck in school, there's an issue with that. If your teacher's not teaching you, they're getting taxpayer money pays them if you're in public to teach you. So I said at a young age, actually, I'm gonna keep it simple. Take responsibility for our education and for our future. We got to take responsibility for what's going on. If we're not learning, it can't just be, oh, the school system's not teaching us, so I'm just gonna go there every day and not learn. No. If it's not being done right, then we need to get with your friends. Get a group of power as its numbers. The worst thing you can do as a young buck is if they're not teaching you, they're not educating you the right way in school, they want you to lash out at them and get yourself in trouble. Stay calm, find a nonprofit or some older male mentors in your area, get a group of people together. Power is in numbers. If we come together and see that something isn't happening, we can make a change, but we got to understand that it got to be on us. Education is not on the teachers. One thing I think a lot of people think is that they think it's the teacher's job. It is the teacher's job to provide the content, but it's not their job to force that into every single student. Right. We gotta actually be hungry, have hunger to learn, have hunger to do the work, be hungry just to kind of learn and grow from there. And I'm gonna leave it with this last thing. I would go to urban areas where there's a lot of minorities and I'd give them 2 questions. I right now will give you $10,000, or over the next couple months, I'll teach you how to make $1 million. I would provide that same question in white, richer areas. In the white, richer areas, they tell me that 10,000, that's nothing. I'd rather learn how to make $1 million, because once I learn how to make $1 million once, I can do it twice and I can keep doing it over and over. In urban areas, they see the 10,000 and they're like, hold on, I got to learn something from you for a couple months to make $1 million. I'd rather just take this 10,000 right now. And I think right there that we got to find a way to stop that answer from being true. Like, we can't just want the handout for something. We should want the education and want to do the work, because once we take that power and we have that inside of us, they can't take it away from us. If we allow them to keep giving us stuff, we need them to be successful. If we all educate ourselves and learn how to be self-sufficient and do it on our own, there's nothing they can take away from us. So stop looking for them handouts and just be happy to do the work. It's hard. It's very hard. But I mean, what our ancestors went through, it ain't nothing to what we got going on right now.
Oh my God.
So to be real, we can do this work. We can learn. They used to have to, like, slaves would have to sneak out to try to learn. Like with slaves, they wouldn't let them read. Because if they let them educate themselves, they fully understand that it would be an uproar, they would take it over. So they wouldn't allow them to educate themselves. But right now, we don't want to educate ourselves. And it's like the same things that they were forcing from our ancestors, we have it right here and we're not taking it. So let's just be accountable, and man, let's go get it. Each one of us, let's learn.
Absolutely. I said time and time again, let's learn what's going on. Let's learn what I bring it to them, what we did 20 years, 30, 40 years after slavery. Because we were, statistically, facts shows that we were in a better place.
Yes.
We were in a better place, no matter how, we talk about financially, we talk about family empowerment, we was definitely in a better place. And while we are not in a better place, I feel as though we take on the victimhood mentality because we getting it taught in our schools.
Yes, I agree with that.
We getting it taught in our schools. We getting it taught of some of our peers, some of the grown people that want you to be worse than they were. You know what I'm saying? A lot of parents, I see a lot of parents, being a coach for many years and mentor for many years, I see a lot of parents don't want their kid, being successful. You know what I'm saying? They not, that's why a lot of them get angry when they got, a couple of people such as us trying to make it better.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know, stuff like that. But all right, Miles, let them know where they can find you, and also, you know, just that, let them know what they find you. And
so on social media platforms, Facebook, well, first off, website, Community Level Up, inc.org, currently getting it updated, but it's running. You can find me on Facebook at Community Level Up. Right now, I'm doing free lessons on the stock market and finances on YouTube. You can find me at Community Level Up. LinkedIn, Miles Daniels. If you're in a school and you want to talk about curriculum, you can find me there. And the center, 322 State Street, New London, Connecticut. We will be opening up. As you can see, we're kind of here now. We're right by the Guard Art Theater, if you see it behind us. So we'll be opening up hopefully in March. With COVID right now, we weren't sure with everything, so we're sitting back. We're doing a lot virtual though. So if anybody's watching this, and if any of the stuff I said, like if you want your youth to learn anything, we have something called No BS Mentoring. It's a program that I'm trying to get government funded, but right now I'm running absolutely free. We have 7 kids that go through it. It's a mentoring program. You can learn all about it on our YouTube page. If anybody's interested, contact me. And other than that, like just if you're listening to me, I know sometimes I sound like I don't want to put myself on a pedestal above anybody else. I'm doing all the stuff that I do. Like this center is for all the community. I'm doing this to share it. I'm trying my best to like get that across and be more open. And just know, watch my stuff. And I struggle with this all the time. I don't like to brag about anything. So it's really hard for me to get these videos out. But I had friends telling me like, hey man, no, like this information that you have, like learning the market from a perspective where you don't need money to start. And not just teaching hot picks, but teaching people to grind every day. I had a lot of friends say this is important information for people, so I decided to put this out there. That's my only reason for putting this out there. If not, people would never hear and know what I'm doing. So I believe I have value for people, and I just want to help any way I can. So reach out to me. I appreciate you, my brother. I think this is fantastic, man. This is my first podcast feature.
yes, absolutely. And hopefully many more, man.
Yes,
hopefully. Because like I've been saying to you, we need to work together because again, I still want to coach, but I'm falling, out of love with it because the kids is not going to the right path that I see them. You know what I'm saying? So I want to do more. It's many ideas that me and you're going to talk about. Definitely. And, this year, hopefully it's going to be a start of us doing things to make our community, this is our community. New London County is our community. You know what I'm saying? And I advise many people to go on your platforms, go to your business, especially if you if you care about your child. I don't care, we don't want to put nobody on a pedestal, but the right people need to be teaching our kids. You know what I mean? And if we have these different functions in our community, let's take advantage of it. It's a simple thing, when my son get older, I'm definitely going to take him to you,
I can't wait, man.
and, stuff like that, because, I think it's so important. I think it's so important that we develop our children, because I want to start doing things that my great-great-grandfather was doing. And because if he can do it, why the hell I can't do it?
Yes.
He had a bunch of things stopping him, many different things.
And he still found a way to get it done.
You know what I'm saying? So let's get this done, guys, for real.
Definitely.
And hey, go on my homeboy subscription. Everything I'm gonna have in the description box.
It's all good
for you guys to look at and everything. And please like and subscribe to the channel, Cashapp Lamar Dream Big Podcast.
Definitely.
My boy, Miles Daniels.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate you. I love what you're doing, man. Let's do many more. Hey, any way I could ever help you, man. One phone call away. Anything you need, anytime.
Same thing. Same goes for me and everything. All right, brother. I'll talk to you later, and I'll let you know when this go on and everything.
Appreciate you, my brother, man. Fantastic stuff. Keep up the great work.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
Much love, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes.